SaaS companies really go through, and you can almost playbook it, right? The way SaaS companies emerge, kind of a 0 to 1 to 3 million, 3 to 5 million, 5 to 10 million, and then 10 million plus. Sub 1 million to kind of up to 10 to 15 million, you're most likely doing founder-led sales, right? If you're a marketing person and you come into a $1 million to $5 million company and you're talking about rebranding and branding exercises, you're not in cadence with what the company's focused on.
Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. Today's show is sponsored by Ringmaster, on a mission to launch B2B podcasts that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth. Ringmasterlive.com. Bam. My goodness, we have begun. This show has left the station. We are rolling. We are going. We even had a countdown before we got started. Oh my God, this is a high profile episode here. You guys, hold on to your chairs. I can't wait to introduce my guest today. He is an absolute badass. What is there to say? He is a marketing leader, a thought leader, a seasoned marketing executive, an Army veteran. So you know he's going to just go for it. Over 2 decades of marketing experience, B2B, SaaS, FinTech, high-tech, you name it. He's a champion of the agile marketing method. Thought leadership, you'll find it in Forbes, Fast, everywhere you go. He's been on the boards, the Ocean Air Federal Credit Union. He knows FinTech. Senior Vice President in Marketing at Checkmate, Kevin Jaskolka. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate being here.
Dude, you're busy.
We're keeping busy. For sure.
You have a lot of things going on. You know things. You pick things up and put them down and know things. So you know what? I'm going to pass you this thing. It's heavy,
right.
but I know
I'm
you
ready.
work out a few times in the Army.
Let's do it.
Pass you this.
I'm ready. What's it going to be?
Okay.
Oh, I'm only in the ER. Look at that.
You want to grab that?
You
got it? Okay.
Okay. I got a tease though. But if we're smashing marketing myths, why don't we have Hulk gloves? We need the Hulk gloves,
we
right?
need the Hulk
There you go.
smash.
Hulk smash.
Maybe that's the next season, 2025. It's Hulk gloves. I pass you the Hulk glove and you smash with it.
Don't be a puny marketing guy or gal.
Well, either way, take for me that hammer that you have, or you could use your Army fist and smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
This is a spicy myth we're gonna go after today. Marketing and leadership tenures don't have to be short. That's the myth we're going to work on today.
Don't have to be short.
They don't have to be short. They can be long.
Tell me more.
Well, you look at the average in the C-suite, and marketing leadership is generally the lowest out of them. CFO, CEO, they're at the bottom of the barrel. And the question becomes why. A lot of thinking and goes into that. And it's generally C-suite alignment and alignment of metrics and alignment of outcomes and how they talk about results.
Why do so many people get this wrong?
Because they can't see the forest for the trees, right? We're looking at the wrong metrics more often than not on the marketing side. And they're important metrics to marketing, but they're not aligned with what the rest of the organization, especially the CEO and the CFO, are looking at. And marketing generally contains or has a pretty big budget with a lot of discretion to spend. And they think as creatives, they think as marketers, what they really should be doing is thinking like hedge fund managers, right? Return on investment, LTV to CAC, not conversions, not MQLs, not SQLs, but true results. And the further you go down into the marketing metric stack, the faster your exit's probably going to be, right? So you really gotta, right?
The more esoteric, single-minded, deep weed marketing metric, time on page thing you start professing and beguiling the whole room, the faster they are exiting you out of that room.
We had a great company first sergeant in the Army, and I'm sitting there as the executive officer of the company. I'm writing this really detailed, articulated plan on how we're going to move across the desert for the company commander. First sergeant says, "What are you doing?" I'm making the plan for the commander. He's like, "Lieutenant, you got your boots, you got your rifle. We know that's generally going that way. This isn't that hard." So the more you complicate it, the harder it is. And in reality, probably the most two important marketing metrics, at least in a B2B SaaS company. You're looking at LTV, what's the lifetime value of the customer, and how much did it cost to acquire? Those are your top line metrics. And if you can, if you can articulate that beyond anything else, and honestly, it's probably the easiest to articulate. That's where you want to focus your time. If you're down in eyeballs, impressions, clicks, conversions, SQLs, MQLs, you're playing pretty deep in the weeds.
All right, I love this. It's the simplicity. We got boots and rifle here. Let's go Barney style on LTV. What is that for the layman, and a reminder for the rest of us?
Sure. So especially in the SaaS business, right? Software as a service, anything where you have a recurring revenue stream, it's the lifetime value of your customer. How much are you going to get from them? Whether it's a one-time sale, I'm selling you a widget, or I'm selling you a subscription to a software widget that lasts month over month over month. So what does my revenue stream of that look like? How many months, years do I get out of it? That's your lifetime value.
All in, right? Like renewals, upsells, all of that. And there's some reports you just really can just kind of hit a button and get a sense for how long do I typically keep people, and how much do they bring in? Why is that important?
Because that's how you scale your return against your acquisition cost, right? So if I have to spend $500 to get a customer and I'm only selling them $300 worth of content,
that's a problem.
That's a problem. If I'm selling them $1,000 worth of content, okay, I got break even plus. But if I have an entire shooting gallery of things to sell, and I'm only selling them 1,000, but I could sell them 1,500, how do you get that upsell? How do you get that cross sell? And then if they churn in 6 months, that's a problem. If they churn in a year, that's a little better. If they churn in 6 years, that's the best.
Now we're talking.
Right.
So let's talk acquisition cost then.
Acquisition cost all in is your sales and marketing cost, and anything you spend on marketing to acquire a new customer.
Seems like that number could quickly spiral to the point where it's hard to even track it, calculate it.
Well, that's the beauty. You want to track it at the highest level, right? So all in on payroll, sales and marketing, not necessarily commissions, and what you're spending on the cost to acquire a new customer. And generally you'll find marketing buckets have two components of them. Actually, probably three, depending on how you're slicing it. There's probably the branding, there's the new customer acquisition, and then there's the current customer marketing for the upsell side. So in a SaaS business, you're thinking about marketing on how do I go and work with the sales team to acquire that initial customer, but then you're working with customer success on how you upsell and cross-sell them and increase that revenue stream and retain what you got for the longest time period possible.
Which can be huge if you're starting with a land and expand type of strategy, right? If the pricing is low to begin, you need to grow them to the point where they're spending more.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So not commission though, huh? So it's base salary of the sales rep, any kind of marketing spend via whatever channel they were coming in, every kind of channel they touched, or just the initial first touch, you think?
Well, careful on the channel. Again, we're talking the entire amount to acquire. So channels become that deeper conversation. The commission.
Ooh, I'm getting deep. I'm almost getting fired from the room.
The commission part, I'd say, is company dependent and how you really want to look at it and break out it. Not all companies look at the commission aspect of the bonus. That's kind of post after. I can make an argument for both ways. But yeah, I mean, it's all in. What was your full spend? What was your full result? Find the ratio, and that tells you whether you're above or below water.
Now, routinely, you're looking at these plans now in your role. If you've established, now, first of all, I feel like there's a good portion of us listening, I can include myself in that, who don't necessarily have them completely calculated. So obviously that's our first step if we don't have it. But once we have it, what kind of things you're looking for? The deltas, quarter to quarter, what modifies it?
Yeah, you're kind of looking year to year unless there's a conversation around seasonality, right? Full year spend against full year LTV to your CAC. And there's a lot of levers you can pull on that to make it better, right? Hey, first and obvious one, cut spending. That might not be your optimal way, and you really want to look at that starting ratio. If you're 3 to 1, you're in good shape. You can double down and lever that ratio. If you're 1.5 to 2 to 1, you got some work to do. Where can you true it up? right? Extend that customer life cycle, that LTV part, a little bit longer than what's already in there. The retention piece, how you work with customer success on retention, what keeps them coming back, right? CSAT score, NPS, quarterly reviews are all kind of things you can work in there to tell if you can extend out how long that customer is going to be with you. You can obviously cut marketing and sales cost, right? That's got some unintended consequences too if you start pulling back in the stack. And that's the most logical one, but it's not necessarily your most optimal one. The next one is obviously you sell more content on the first touch. How do you help sales have a better conversation? So they might come in for one product, but you sell them the combo meal, right? You sell multiple things in the first touch, or you work with customer success. And after they get that first appointment right, you start introducing more things in the stack and go win that additional business. So there's a lot of ways as a marketer to go chase that ratio.
Yeah, and even underneath LTV. So we're, how long are they with us as a subset, and then you're coordinating with customer support. Um, yeah. So I mean, I could see going like one layer deeper just to sort of understand what's modifying it, but yeah, message heard in terms of don't, you know, nail that. Don't these other things are slippery slope. I remember getting reports from people that were just gibberish at the very lowest level, and it's like, how does that help us sell more in the future? It's not very clear. And I think marketers do themselves a disservice when they walk in to a boardroom or to anywhere, to the C-suite meeting, and they don't have these stats.
Yeah. And it happens, right? And I'd say every company has some layer of it and growth methodology to go through. You got to get outside the marketing foundational area and kind of your reporting set to get to LTV. I mean, that's a revenue set. That's when did they churn? There's a billing component of that you have to understand. There's a sales component you have to understand. Finance has some of these metrics, but you got to know enough to go outside and go put that together because you need it to justify your results, right? But we own the marketing costs. We understand that you can get a high level, GL number from what the sales contribution or the costs are. You should know and have your GL numbers and what the marketing piece of that is. You should know how to break it out between new business spend and existing business spend and create that for the organization if they don't have it.
Tell me about the board. I mentioned that in the introduction. You've been on boards. Um, what's the difference that, say the young marketer listening to this who hasn't experienced that higher level, what's different about being in that room and the people that you're with there and the conversations you have?
So haven't been on the side of being questioned by the board and being on the board.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun to be on the board. And that's
I was going to say a lot more fun, right? Yeah.
But you have a little bit of sympathy, empathy, maybe for the managers, right? Or the management team doing it. So really the goal there is to help, be a part of a peer set of board members who help guide management and help them look around corners and ask the hard questions that they may or may not be thinking about and bringing different perspectives and lenses into that, right? So I've worked in fintech before, not on the banking side, but on the alt financing side. So I kind of have a perspective there. Software marketing has a perspective and just kind of playing my role. I run the security governance committee, and I'm also overseeing the marketing rebranding committee. So they just did a rebranding. We had just done a rebranding with Checkmate, working with their leadership and their management team. It's kind of like, hey, did you think about these things on the rebrand? What does it mean to the members? Really what we're doing more often than not is advocating and making sure that the membership of that credit union is taken care of.
It's advocating for the organization and the shareholders and people that are involved. What kind of signals tell you that someone, thankfully you've been on the side of maybe beating people up as opposed to being the one under the spotlight. But what kind of things signal that you shouldn't be in that room?
Well, let's flip it back more to the SaaS company, right? Right. So SaaS companies really go through, and you can almost playbook it, right? The way SaaS companies emerge, kind of a 0 to 1 to 3 million, 3 to 5 million, 5 to 10 million, and then 10 million plus. And then if you get past that, you're looking at 20 to 50 and then 50 to 100, probably IPO. There's a lot of different things that need to happen during that phase, and there's a lot of different leadership that had styles that have to come in there. Sub 1 million to kind of up to 10 to 15 million, you're most likely doing founder-led sales, right? If you're a marketing person and you come into a $1 million to $5 million company and you're talking about rebranding and branding exercises, you're not in cadence with what the company's focused on. That's getting the first customer, getting the second and third customer, demand generation, lead generation, and product proof, getting through that Series A funding, basically getting to a market valid product, right? When you can start going for that B round of funding, kind of 15-ish million maybe, you're really starting to look at scale. And then how do you scale the engine? So being able to figure out when those cadence changes happen is absolutely vital, right? Somewhere around 8 to 10 million, you're probably bringing in a professional sales team. So now you have to go feed that sales team. And how do you do that effectively? You've got some money in your pocket. You're still probably not profitable, so you probably have a cash burn. But how do you start generating effective customers and making sure they stay? Somewhere probably in that same range, you're starting to think about a customer success team to retain and upsell that revenue. Around 15 million in a B2B SaaS company, you're going to find the energy behind the founder-led sales starts dying off. So at that point, you really need an enabled sales team. 15 to 20 million, you're probably going to really need to start looking at a brand. You're moving from SMB more to enterprise customers. You're scaling your product. You probably have introduced some new products. So GTM for new products is important. Cross-selling is important. In 20 to 50, you're starting to really tighten up in the portfolio, the metrics, and the positioning and how the company looks to the outside as you start considering potentially an IPO or a buyout. That's a lot of hats for one person to wear. And one of the things I'm always looking to do as a marketing leader is make sure I don't get caught behind that curve. And the company's not going to sit and tell you, unfortunately, that, hey, yeah, our focus is now this and you need to change with it. It's more like, hey, you didn't do this. It's like, well, I was good a month ago. Yeah. But unfortunately, you generally have to start thinking of these things 3 to 6 months out. Or you truly get caught behind the curve. And that's one of the things that contributes to a shorter tenure in the C-suite for a lot of marketing leaders than not. You really have to figure out how you're going to adapt and evolve as you go. And it's not from campaign to campaign. It's from the tempo of the business and the cadence of the business.
Man, is that hard, right? Reinventing yourself, and the way that what your company needs you to do. You find that you specialize in one of those, or are you able to adapt as you go?
Well, I think Andy Grove said it, the paranoid survive. in his book way back when he was with Intel. So I do consistently try to take stock and think about, yeah, great, you worked in the business. You try to get the campaigns right. You try to get the measurements right. You're managing your team. You're making sure everybody's taken care of and doing the right things. You're focused on the day-to-day of getting leads and things out the door. But you really got to sit and pause and make sure you're checking in the direction you're shaping. Because even a SaaS company, it doesn't necessarily turn on a full dime. You got to build some runway in, right? And you don't want to get caught behind.
Bigger it is, becomes like a bigger ship, right? So much more time it takes to turn.
And arguably in some of those ships, you've got time to catch up. But the SaaS business does move pretty quick between those inflection points. And if you don't have good visibility, you should always be asking for the financials. As a marketer, you got to be able to talk balance sheet, income statement of cash flows. What's the burn? What's the revenue? What's the LTV to CAC? You do that, you're having good conversation, and you're going to have the same concerns that the CEO and the CFO have.
Yeah, which circles back around to your key point is approaching it like a hedge fund manager, not like a cool campaign creative ad manager. Like you're making investments. The company, and to your point, company spends a lot of money in marketing, a lot of money in sales as usually as people, but non-people investment into marketing for who knows what, right? And the more professional marketer is thinking about the return they're providing for that investment. If there is one, if there isn't, you should probably quickly fix it to make sure that it is.
And, we kind of talked about, where can you get caught? The team talent at the lower stages, 0 to 1, 1 to 3, 1 to 5. You're not attracting the top talent necessarily. You're attracting really smart, good people. So as a leader, you either have to mentor them into those roles, or they're not going to be there, unfortunately. And it's just a harsh reality. You've got to mentor them into that type of marketer that can be an individual contributor at the higher levels, or you've got to make good decisions on how to humanely and effectively part ways and bring in that top talent as you scale.
I like the lower end. The earlier end, more of the nimble, almost like you're not even on a boat yet. You're on like a jet ski. The only problem is it's hard to eat lunch on a jet ski. A little bit bigger boat might be nice, but I do love that nimble time to explore. But it feels nice to get a little bit of a, maybe a little sea craft going or something, just a little bit of extension on that boat. But at some point it becomes unwieldy, and then I am definitely not. I am not the what do they call the people that they hop on the ship and they help in port? Pilots. Like I'm not like a pilot to for a cruise ship, you know?
Okay. You're not driving the tugboat to push it around.
No,
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 I get you.
no. But put me in like a cigarette boat and
Right?
have me smuggle something across the border, Not really, but maybe,
We could
call
do
me.
it. There you go.
But yeah, yeah. So, uh, what kind of do you enjoy particular phases? You love all the different places, or are you just paranoid at each step and you just
I've had my most fun working from public traded small caps and below. Uh, the biggest of the big, which are amazing companies, obviously, right? They're the Fortune 50 for a reason. But you can do one thing for 20 years, and that's not what I want to do. I mean, like, you can literally focus on just one part of marketing, and that's all you'll do for your entire career. I no, I mean, it's beautiful selling for a massive company like that, because you'll get in from the business card. The brand will get you in the door. You may or may not get a deal, but yeah, for me, it's startup to small cap. So from zero to 250 million is kind of the fun spot for me.
well, now in your role, like where do you like to learn? Where do you get your input from? Is it podcasts? Is it books? Is it
All the
smoke
above. Yeah.
signals?
Podcasts, books. There still are a lot of good white papers and ebooks out there.
Okay, you heard it here.
You do. There are, and you'll get the SDR calls, of course, and we love our SDRs, and hey, you got to appreciate that somebody in marketing is betting their MQL on that one. But that's where I get a lot of the information. And I'll give them a plug here if it's okay. One of the best conferences I've been to is the SaaStr conference. Yeah, that's brilliant. That's a really good way to unplug from the day to day in the business. Get away for 3 days and think about working on the business again. Kind of get that white space there to think about how you extend your tenure and do better marketing for the company. For a lot of the SaaS metrics out there, there's a lot of really good PE firms, private equity firms that have a lot of good free content and playbooks. There's some really smart stuff on Bessemer Venture Partners, BVP.com. A lot of good playbooks out there. And hey, Chat GPT is pretty helpful to get some baseline and some questions and go explore deeper.
I've been fascinated lately by playbooks. I feel like that word has come up several times, and I don't hate it. And something about the actionable side of it. I don't know. Do you employ this where you're at? Do you see those? Do you prefer those, or is it just a word that just happens that I don't not like, or is it something to it?
It's a framework, right? You take 80% of it, leave the rest, take 100% of it, but do what looks and feels right, but it gives you a consistent, repeatable process. And it seems like an important thing, especially as the business gets bigger and we're out of the process where kind of the hero works 48 hours in a day to get the thing done and delivered to working against teams, cross-functional areas, consistent, repeatable processes to get a result. Yeah, playbooks start becoming helpful. I don't think they're the be all and end all, and you got to customize them like we talked about. But yeah, it's definitely something everybody should have in their kit bag.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, what about the future? Can you foresee what's around the corner that you're excited to capitalize? What's exciting you about it?
I'm reminded of the saying of people who look in crystal balls are destined to eat broken glass. So, what's exciting? AI is really exciting. Yeah, gee, surprise, AI is really exciting. I don't think it replaces everything, and I don't think it should. But there's a lot of things that you can do today with AI that's useful. Ideating, polishing, getting lists established, getting early playbooks established that you customize. It can take a lot of the first cut level work out. I think it's over promising right now, potentially in what customer support use of AI can do.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of have the Gartner hype cycle where it's like, oh, this is the new best thing ever. Then it,
Yes.
oh, this is terrible. Why do we do that? And then it kind of becomes the plateau of productivity. So I think we're kind of in the hype cycle right now. But yeah, it'll bounce out and then we'll figure out what we're really doing with it. But it's exciting. There's a lot of really cool things you can do. And if you don't know how to do it with AI, like a large language model, just ask it. It'll tell you, hey, how do I do this with you? And it's like, hey, here's how you can do it. Kind of a no-brainer. So that's exciting. I think marketers are starting to turn the corner around just inbound or just ABM, account-based marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot more thinking and alignment with sales on buying groups, right? It used to be, hey, I was able to get somebody to download something. I got a couple signals that they're interested. Of course, sales, you should be able to, bring in $5 million worth of business on that. It's simple, right?
Yeah.
No B2B deal is done with just one person, right? There's generally a buying team, a buying group, multiple decision makers. So, I think marketing is now getting smarter in how they go after and they nurture multiple contacts per. And there's a lot of exciting things happening in terms of intent, right? Different layers of intent on who's searching for what are they thinking, what are they talking about, and how
What's
do
your
you
favorite intent tool, signal, strategy?
platform? No, platform wise, I'll give a plug here. Zoom Info is doing some pretty good stuff with their intent
Really?
marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody missed a beat, and now HubSpot. We're a big user of HubSpot. They've got some really good intent signals now, and it doesn't give you the final path or the who, but it kind of gives you an idea of what patch to go hunting, right? And you can start seeing some trends and making some smarter decisions than, blanket emailing everybody. It gives you a little bit more creativity. Yeah. So there's a couple of the platforms there that I like.
That's cool. I definitely am seeing the maturity and hearing you describe there's different people right now. The AI is in the hype cycle, and speaking of which, I commented on something on Twitter on X, and then I had two people comment. And one of the things that I used to have a ton of followers, now they're still there, but I don't really have anyone. So these two people just immediately interacted with me, and I'm like, wow, the bot armies have come, and now they're because the message was like, absolutely. Here's a phrase. And it was like, it felt very tailored. Now they were agreeing with me. So I was like, well, the bot armies are agreeing with me. That's great. But I get more likes and replies from bots than anyone else. But I could tell, okay, people are pushing the envelope, trying to see where this tech fits, where it doesn't. It'll be a little nasty. It'll be that messy middle where we're not quite sure. But to your point, eventually it'll suss out what is the long-term use case. Yeah. But thankfully with ABM, we're calming down a little bit. And with intent signals, we're actually thinking about intent signals and not just that they sneezed or attended my webinar, but what is the actual intent signal? Yeah. Well, you know what? You know things. And we mentioned this at the beginning. You know a lot of things. Who are you? Kevin, who are you? Take me back in time. Little Kevin days. What was it like? Did you know you're going to be leading soldiers in the army and marketers in the battlefield of SaaS.
So no, dad was an Air Force officer. So I grew up as an Air Force brat, lived a
Okay,
lot of
mine
different.
too, man.
Okay. All right. Lived
Yeah.
a lot of different places. Knew I could never be a pilot. So was more drawn to the Army.
How did you know? Because I didn't learn that till later.
I kind of knew I was in ROTC in college. So,
Me
18,
too.
19. Yeah. I was kind of planning that career path. Got in Army officer commission, Berlin Wall came down. It was about like, what's the mission now? Kind of like, what are we all doing here? And then, when I was working on my MBA, you start really, and it was like, date myself here, kind of early mid 90s. You start reading about guys like John Chambers, and I mentioned Andy Grove, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of cool things going on. And I remember reading an article in Fortune, kind of the idea that, hey, it wasn't a military thing that won the Cold War. It was Procter and Gamble. It's like, and Walmart. It's like, explain that one to me. Consumer product goods really kind of changed the world. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. So there's a lot of interesting things in there. Finished my commitment, had an opportunity to interview with a bunch of companies through a recruiter, got into software early on. The rest is kind of history. I won't bore everybody with it, but yeah, that was it. So, always loved business, always been fascinated by business, and was also fascinated with the military. Got to do both.
Okay, that is a wild ride. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Montana, lived in Texas, lived in Germany, Illinois, New York. Yeah, kind of like I said, kind of all over with the Air Force. The station down in Louisiana, Texas, lived in California, back to New York, and then back to California.
Did you move frequently?
Yeah, every couple of years. If I had to like put one pin in home, it'd be upstate New York, but spent the most time there. But yeah, I just kind of enjoying being around.
Do you go by like who you root for in football is essentially where your roots are?
No. Too many, and I'm hoping they do well this year, but too many losses by the Bills and critical Super Bowl.
Bills. Now that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one, and they're teasing some success this year, but we'll see how that pans out.
Should ask your dad to move one more time so you wouldn't be stuck with the Bills. I can't say anything now. Being the Patriots and all, I don't even know what. I think.
Oh, we talked about that.
Are they
Yeah,
in the
that's
XFL
really tough.
now? I don't even understand what they're up to. They're moving over to Canada. It's Canadian Football League now.
No comment lest the bot army come after.
I know. We'll bring it. No, they're on my side, so you don't have to worry about it.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I control them. Yeah. So that's interesting. The ROTC factor and in the military, and then just seeing the excitement that's going on out there and wanting to dive into it a little bit. That's really cool. So your question, bring me up to what you're doing today. What are you excited about? What's the latest greatest, right? Checkmate. What do you guys do?
Yeah, we're a restaurant, or a digital ordering solution company for restaurants. So we started off in 2016, 2017, and the big problem was what was called tablet hell, right? If you remember going back into a restaurant, you'd see 3 to 5 different delivery tablets, one for DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. If it's a pizza joint, you might have one for Slice. And all these orders are either printing out or they're coming into the tablets, and then somebody's got to go with it, right? So our first use case was injecting those directly from the third-party provider, the DoorDash, the Grubhub, the Uber Eats, directly into the point of sale. And we did that and we still do it, from 2017 all the way through today. Big lift during COVID is everybody tried to get automated for that. In 23, we bought a direct ordering company. So now we do the third-party integration. We've got first-party ordering platforms. We bought a voice AI company in 24. So now we're taking orders through voice AI. That's migrating to the drive-through. So the drive-through automation, catering, loyalty, and marketing. So we help restaurant enterprises that want to go digital realize that.
I love that. They need it too. It's you can't not be. One of my favorite restaurants. I clicked on the link the other day, and it's like DNS probe error, and I'm like, guys, come on, you got like to the point where I was even going to offer to like make them their site just so I would have the menu handy. And let's see. I hope they fixed it. If they did, I'm just gonna, no, they did. They didn't. They literally still.
All right.
So
Shoot me a note after. We'll see if we can help them.
Seriously, I actually know the owner too. He's a really good guy. I will definitely connect you guys with them. They need to just fix this, so that all of their raving fans can order food from them. Like, come on. Sometimes you gotta get out of your own way.
Well, it's hard because there's a lot of different people in restaurant technology promising a lot of amazing things. And the best ones are the ones you never hear about or have the least amount of hype, meaning that they're actually just delivering solutions that work, right? And some of the challenge right now for kind of an enterprise restaurant chain is they have too many menus. You might have one for catering, you've got one for the third parties, you got one for your POS inside the four walls, you've got one for kiosks, right? There's a menu for everything. And trying to manage all that, the bigger you get in terms of chain size, or maybe you're a big PE firm that owns multiple chains, to layer that out, it becomes way too much friction. So the ability for a restaurant to adopt more technology is inversely proportional to the friction. Kind of cool, right? So the more you reduce and it's kind of cool, the more you can reduce that friction, the easier it is for them to adopt. But all that happens through centralized menu management and being able to push those menus into those different channels effectively and efficiently from one point.
Man, you're killer at math. And I was looking, sometimes I'm like, oh, where's the economics degree or whatnot or stats? No, just business major. But like, have you always had this like affinity for the numbers?
Uh, yes, but I was terrible in high school math.
Were you? I was too.
That was terrible. It was awful. It was
I was
awful.
too. ROTC was not happy about my high school math scores at all.
Oh boy, mine weren't that bad, but I wasn't. I wasn't. Probably best I don't do rocket science.
And who needs
Let's just
calculus
put it that way.
anyways? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, come on,
yeah, exactly.
calculus. Bit of a hypothetical question for you, if you're prepared. Are you
I'm
ready?
prepared. I don't have a piece of paper and a pencil, but wait.
Yeah, right. Draw for me a stick man countering a polar bear. Okay. I may or may not have a time machine in New Hampshire. So the next time you're in the area, come visit, do a little conference up here. Come visit. We'll get lobster and beer, have a good time. Use the time machine. I do have it. It's in the backyard, covered in a tarp. So we use the time machine. We go back in time, but it's a particular kind where you actually get to go back to visit yourself a couple days after getting that business degree at the University of New York, right? And you get to go visit and chat with yourself. What kind of things would you tell yourself in those moments?
By Google, Tesla, and NVIDIA.
Yeah, and hold Tesla, right?
And hold on to it forever. Yeah, that's probably what I would have told myself. Insider trading aside,
I mean, does that count if it's from the future? Does it count as insider? I get it technically.
Technically, you're probably going to get in trouble somewhere.
Yeah.
Not sure how they'd catch you, but yeah, you're probably going to.
Or how they'd prove that,
Yeah.
right? The stock tips for sure, for one.
I'd say trust your gut and let it flow.
What is it about trusting your gut that we resist sometimes, do you think?
No, it seems scary. It's easier to hold the tree and play it safe.
Sometimes you got to, and but also the rewards come from doing that too, right?
Yeah. So I mean, people do two things or do something for two reasons: either inspiration or desperation. Right? That's basic human psychology, basic marketing. Where it's a lot easier to do it out of desperation, but often too late, and be inspired to do something. So the question then becomes: is how do you get leverage over yourself to do something inspired and trusting yourself enough to take a chance?
What is the answer to that?
You got to build a lot of leverage by some Tony Robbins tapes and listen to your gut and when it feels right.
Hell yeah, Tony Robbins. Let's go.
Take a shot. Never listen to your lizard brain.
Never listen to your lizard brain. Have you done any like those conferences, Tony Robbins conferences?
Oh yeah.
Do you have any favorites? I've done a couple myself.
I did one up around Sacramento a long time ago, but that was a blast.
Was it like they unleashed the power within one?
No, it was a sales based one. I do not remember what it was called. I did walk out with a bunch of CDs.
Yeah, I know. Same. You're like, oh, that speaker was awesome. I need to get their 12 CD kit.
I think kind of the question you ask yourself, and depending on where you are on your human journey and timeline, is if you look back in 50 years, are you going to be glad you did this? 30 years, 20 years, pick your timeline. But are you in the right job? I don't know. Look back at yourself in 20 years, and are you going to be glad that this is what you did, or should you be doing something else?
If you look back 20 years from right now, what do you tell yourself about some of those experiences?
I love what I'm doing. I really do. I'm very happy with the past. Sure, there's other things you'd like to explore and you kind of work them in. Um, but oh yeah, overall, kind of where I wanted to be and where I'm at, I'm pretty pleased with.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. When did the scuba journey start?
Oh man, in college started there, uh, and then just got busy with life and didn't do a lot with it. Unfortunately, always meant to, but was always kind of in landlocked areas. Um, didn't make the most of it. Got back here to California. We got a beautiful area called the Channel Islands, about an hour off, and amazing kelp, amazing biodiversity. It was time to pick it up again, and yeah, absolutely love it.
I had a chance to do like an intro class, bunch of knowledge, float around a pool a little bit. Fascinated by the finding your buoyancy or that that part where but then what people don't understand is when you inhale, you get a little bit light, and when you exhale, you get, oh my gosh, like there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, and then they tell you, never stop breathing and scuba diving, and then it's like, but if I breathe, I'm gonna.
I know it's gonna mess with.
So you kind of gotta find that healthy balance.
They need like a buoyancy vest that like deflates a little bit and inflates a little bit along with your breathing. I think that'd be sick.
You breathe shallower. That's one of the tricks.
Do you have like a sick $10 million dive computer?
No, I know, not at all. No, don't need it.
It's like a little Casio watch with duct tape on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't need to spend. No, you don't need to do that. You can. I mean, you can buy a Lamborghini too, but if you need just basic transportation, you don't need to go crazy. You can do really well in a dive computer, around $500.
Oh, it's not bad at all. Yeah, but I hear you though, because with skydiving, same thing. Like, ooh, that looks pretty cool. I could add that. I could add this to my repertoire. But
So you're still doing tandems? Or you're doing your own now, freestyle.
oh no, yeah, jumping on my own for sure. I only did one tandem. It was great, but once you have your own parachute, like the amount of freedom and control of having that is just you don't really ever want to be attached to someone who has the parachute anymore. Like initially you're like, yes, please. But then eventually like, no, like give me my own. Um, and then airplane rides are so much fun wearing a parachute.
It takes out one part of the concern.
But you have to actually buckle your seat on takeoff. Everyone has to buckle up. And you have to wear that for about 1,000 feet. And then we unbuckle. And then we're like, okay, if anything happens at this point, I'm out of here.
I'm out the door. Now you pack your own chute.
No, that's the one thing that I haven't done yet. So that kind of holds back my certs a little bit. But it's one of the things I was like, I need to make sure I nail this. I can't like half-ass my way into packing a parachute. I have to like know it.
That's right. And then that kind of brings in attention to detail and checklists, and there's a whole nother conversation right there.
100%. And you know what? That struggle versus, a kid who's like packing them all day, every day and knows exactly how much to make the sliders so that it doesn't jerk your back too much. And, and here's $10. It's kind of like, for now, that's a great option.
That's right.
Yeah. Sick. Well, hey, where can people reach out if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, my LinkedIn profile, we'll hopefully get it in the show notes, but basically at linkedin.com/Kevin W. Jaskolka, all one phrase there.
Awesome. Man, thank you so much for coming out here, Kevin. Like, dude, this has been fantastic. We've like talked about all sorts of different things. We've really smashed the myths. That hammer, I'm going to have to patch up the leather handle because, yeah, thank you. Yeah, LTV, CAC, all those things, the critical measures and not getting sucked into the weeds and being able to own yourself in a big meeting like that and really understand that you're a hedge fund manager, you're not a marketer. Man, good, powerful nuggets. The promo clips will be all over the place today. I'm excited. So thank you for coming on here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And those people listening, if you learned something, and I freaking know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back, then share this with someone else. 1 person, 9 people, 3,000 people. I don't really care, but get good information into someone else's hands. That's thought leadership. Make it happen. And once again, Kevin, thank you, sir. You are absolutely amazing.
Have a good one.
All right, everyone. This has been another crazy cool episode of the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will see you all next time.